Hello guys, Tops here. Today, how does dodge work in Battle Brass? So, dodge gives you 15% of your character's current initiative as bonus to ranged and melee defense. Does not round, so that means for every 7 initiative, you get 1 melee defense and 1 range defense. So, normally, like the starting initiative of a brother is usually around 100, and with every piece of gear that you equip, your gear costs fatigue, and every point of fatigue also costs your initiative. So if your armor weighs 15 fatigue, or costs 15 fatigue to wear, it also reduces your initiative by 15. Same for your weapons and other equipment. So that means that dodge is super nice in the early game when all of your bros have not that much equipment, right? You have like light radar armor, which is like 15 fatigue maybe. You have maybe a shield and a spear or something, like 20 fatigue. You're not fully decked out in Battleforge gear, right? So you have lighter gear. And therefore, dodge is highly valuable. The downside of dodge is it drops off the more fatigue you accumulate. So the longer the fight goes, the less value dodge has, assuming you spend your fatigue to move and to fight, right? And dodge is less valuable on heavy Battleforge bros that have a lot of heavy equipment and heavy weapons, because you have lesser or low, really low initiative. Sometimes even negative initiative, depending on your gear. So, dodge good on light bros, bad on heavy bros. And yeah, dodge increases your defense significantly, right? It's a level 2 perk on your second level up. You can get this tier 2 perk, and it's one of the best defensive perks. It's probably the best defensive perk in this category. Just gives you in basically all cases really high defense, and melee defense and range defense is good in Battle Brass. You need defense. And let's check out Turtle's guide. Let's see what Turtle has to say to that. Yeah, so, right. It depends on your current initiative, not your starting or max initiative. So if you use the wait command, you lose 25% of your current initiative. So you would lose 25% of your dodge. And yeah, recover has current fatigue, so you get dodge back. I really like this combo on my nimble dodge tanks, the recover dodge combo. Right, and here we have this. I'm not sure if it rounds, if the mechanic rounds or does not round. Normally it rounds in Battle Brass. Yeah, again, melee defense really important, and dodge is also nice if your brother doesn't have any range defense or negative range defense, and you kind of want to fix that with dodge. And yeah, dodge value drops off over the fight. Start of the fight is the most dangerous, I would say. Yeah, not really. Normally how a fight goes is like turn 1, nothing happens. Turn 2, you have maybe partially an engagement. Turn 3 is when the front lines engage, and turn 4 is when stuff goes wrong, right? So that's how I see that. But yeah, especially for archers, like turn 1, getting shot at by a marksman, that's probably like the best case scenario where dodge provides a lot of value. And yeah, here we have the use case. Dodge is good early game, as I said, because you have light gear and your bros are super low level and they don't have high defense. So that's nice. And yeah, high initiative, high base initiative, like my thieves, my sword duelist thieves and my nimble tanks. Really, really nice. Gambler, red catcher, especially gamblers. And there's another background too that has like high base initiative and high defense. So you can make super nice nimble tanks early on. And of course, it's mandatory for something like Defensa, right? Having high initiative, dodge and stuff. Single target two-hander, high damage, low fatigue cost. Yeah, that's kind of where I would say on nimble maybe, but not for Battleforge. Dodge for backliners, Yeah, I find that a little bit pointless unless you expect your backliners to engage in combat, right? Bannerman, yeah, is more likely to get targeted. I tend to use anticipation instead of dodge for the bannerman, but yeah. Again, you can stack melee defense, defense, pathfinder, recover, and some misconceptions. All that kind of stuff. I want to show you really quick how I use dodge in Battle Bros. In-game, right? So generally dodge is a really strong perk because it gives you defense, but it has the downside of dropping off as soon as your initiative drop offs, right? So the longer the fight, the less you get from initiative. But you can attach your hyena clock to your armor, which gives you plus 15 initiative, which is roughly 2 defense, right? So, sword duelist. Mass sword duelist, like a low fatigue use, high initiative, thief, right? Who is already 35 base defense. Now we have also invested a little bit in initiative, and he has the initiative attachment to the armor. Now we have 120 initiative. So my character is in the fight easy at 60 defense, 60 melee defense. And who at like 50 defense is kind of the soft cap, where like every melee defense above 50 is halved. So this guy is incredibly survivable because of his super high defense just from dodge. And as you can see, he doesn't have too many other defensive perks. Another one, my nimble dodge tanks. These guys, they have already pretty high base defense. And this guy doesn't have too much base initiative, but I normally like the dodge recover combo on them. And Peddler, right, here we go, Peddler. Peddlers are super nice nimble dodge tanks, because they can have, as you can see, super high base defense and still really high initiative. So they make for nice dodge tanks early on, and they cost you nothing. As you can see, I don't use dodge on my backliners because I expect them to not get hit. It's pretty simple. Like they already get basically a defensive bonus from being in the backline because there's always somebody in front of them. So when they get targeted with ranged attacks, like the AI has like half the hit chance against them, stuff like that, right? And they're basically, I don't expect them to get engaged in melee. So I find stuff like rotation better, where I can just rotate them out if they get engaged in combat. But of course you can pick up dodge on your backliners if you like. And as you can see, I don't have dodge on any of my Battleforge guys, except for my Battleforge dodge build. Because, just imagine guys, you find somebody who has the stats of a fencer, but you don't want to make him into a fencer because you play Iron Man. You want to make him into a Battleforge frontliner. So you make him into Battleforge dodge. Absolutely mandatory for this build that you take Brawny and Relentless. Because Brawny reduces the fatigue and initiative of your heavy armor by 30%. So that means you can have a full Battleforge guy with a big two-hander at 123 initiative. And by the way, he low rolled, so you easily can get him up to 130 initiative. With the armor attachment, of course, which gives you plus 15 initiative. The idea behind this, I always have a big Battleforge two-hander with a mace that goes first, no matter what. So we achieve permanent adrenaline, basically. And so if you want to make Battleforge dodge, I highly recommend my videos on how to Battleforge dodge. And I think Brawny is mandatory in combination with dodge. And that guy already has like 37 base defense. And like with dodge, like we are at 120 initiative, that's probably, oh my god, don't do math in public. But that should be almost 20 additional defense from dodge, ranged and melee defense. Yeah, so this guy, even though he has negative range defense, quite survivable with dodge. Downside of dodge is if you get dazed or staggered, those status effects reduce your initiative, and then your survivable dodge guy, dodge tank for instance, is not so survivable if a lot of your survivability comes from the dodge perk. So especially on my dodge tanks, I like to have resilient, so that negative status effects don't last as long. I also like to have relentless. And I really like the recover combo, right? The recover dodge combo, where basically if I have to recover, my survivability gets down because I cannot use shield wall or indom. But if I recover and I have dodge, I get additional defense from recovering. So that makes these kind of tanks relatively survivable, at least versus single opponents, like super strong. These guys are the only guys who can reliably tank down some lindworms and some Unholz, that kind of stuff. They suffer if they get surrounded and they actually get hit by orcs or chosen or something. Yeah. For that case, you would need a full Battleforge tank. They're not good at tanking hits, but they are exceptional at avoiding being hit. So yeah, that is kind of like how I use dodge. And of course I have fencers in other runs, and I have a fencer build. You can check that out there. And yeah, this is kind of how dodge works. It's a really, really strong defensive perk. Yeah, that increases your survivability significant. At least from your early game bros, even for your late game bros, and it really goes well with like nimble characters who have low fatigue usage overall and a lot of initiative to spare. Like these guys, for instance, they have a lot of initiative because I want to have them overwhelm. Like these guys would highly benefit for something like dodge. And it makes not a lot of sense if I have like frontliners who have like 38 initiative, 40, 30 initiative. If I give those guys dodge, it doesn't benefit them too much. Like that's like 2 or 3, 4 defense. A whole perk for that, not that great. Also, they use a lot of fatigue. So every fatigue point that you accumulate reduces your initiative by 1. So if you have bros that accumulate a lot of fatigue, initiative and dodge tends to not be as valuable. All right, guys, I'm rambling. I don't want this to be a 50-minute video about dodge. We might do this at another point. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you in the next one. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.